Hi friends! So I posted a very brief tutorial video last week on one of my absolute favorite wraps that I had modified slightly for an event. And so I thought I would do a tutorial with actual words, showing it with a few different types of scarves and a couple of variations that I do fairly often. So I'm going to start first with, this is a Sparklicious in Exotic Spice. So it's not entirely clear in my original tutorial, but when I'm doing this wrap, I generally will put it so that the center point of the scarf is just to the side of my head. And that usually works out pretty well in terms of the tails being the length that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and tie that at the back of my head. If you're wrapping with a slightly longer scarf, you may want to put the center further off to the side, and if you're wrapping with a shorter one, then you probably want to give it a little bit less room. Tail's got a little caught. That's fine. Okay, so now I have one shorter end and one longer end. I'm going to make sure everything here is laying the way I want. And I am going to take my shorter end, fold in my edges, and bring it up and over. So as you can see, it's like barely reaching, and that's okay, because we're going to bring up our other tail, and I'm going to tie in a beginner's knot. Now, because this tail is then going to go back over the top, I want to make sure that even as it's going into this beginner's luck, that it is, I have my ends folded in, that it's looking about the way that I want. And so tie it just like so. And so now I have this longer end, and all I'm going to do with it is bring it right back up, all the way around my head, literally not doing anything fancy, just going around the back here, and then tie a second beginner's luck style. Now I'm going to make sure I have all of my fringes nice and gathered up so that my end knot is nice and tidy. Pull it, and that's it. This is the wrap that I wear probably 90 to 95% of the time when I'm leaving the house. So this is what it looks like from the side and the back and the other side. So very simple, very easy to do. Often to get a slightly neater look, I will tuck in this upper tail here. Just take it, tuck it right in, just like that. So that is my wrap number one. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take this off so that I can show a couple variations. So the next one I'm going to show is going to be a variation using one of Rapunzel's Harmony scarves. So these are the ones that have the recycled sari strips but are extremely wide. And so I love the volume and the floof that these give, and you can also get some really pretty effects doing a wrap like this. So starting off the same way, I didn't mention, but I am wrapping over a Cloud9. It's harder to find the middle on these guys, but that looks like I am about even. So we're just gonna scooch it off a little bit to the side. And I'm going to do one of the variations that I often do, which is creating a crisscross here at the front. So get a nice strong angle going. And once again, tie it in a knot at the back of my head. All right, so once again, I have a shorter end and a longer end. And I'm going to take my shorter end. I'm going to fold in the front. No, I'm not going to fold in the front. You can if you want to, but because I'm doing a crisscross, having sort of the like alternating in a V of that front strip I think is really pretty. So I'm just going to keep it like that. And then same deal, beginner's luck over here. If one of my little shorter ends is coming out, we're just going to tuck that. It's a really nice thing about the harmonies is that things tend to floof out everywhere. You know, the sort of freeform look is part of the point. Okay, so now I have my longer end, and one of the variations that I like to do is to give it a bit of a twist, and with all of these layers, it ends up looking so pretty. So I've got that nice and twisted, and it's going to come up and over just like I did for the last strap. And now I'm going to tie another knot, but I'm also going to do another variation here, which is that instead of pulling my free end all the way through, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a pull. So I have this little loop right here, and then you can fluff it out and have this beautiful, beautiful little decoration and all your tails hanging out here. I think this is such a pretty way to wear one of these sari type scarves. So yeah, okay, we can tuck that guy in. Again, there's so much going on. You have all the room to tuck in that you could ever possibly want. So this is what it looks from the side, and the back, and the other side. So those are a couple of the variations that I very frequently do, changing up with the crisscross in the front, half knot over here on the side, that I think looks really lovely. So then I'm going to show one final variation, which is going to incorporate the use of a sash. So off this guy comes. Make sure my shaper is still sitting nice and firmly on my head. And now I am going to take one of the shimmery scarves. So these are especially fun to do this wrap with, and because they do tend to be a little bit longer than other scarves, this is definitely one where I would recommend like scooching it a little bit further over to the side. I am gonna go with the extra sparkly side out today because I'm feeling extra sparkly, you know. All right, so I can see that's kind of my center fold right there. Would usually put it right all the way to the side of my head because it's a shimmery and it's a little longer. We're going to give it just a little bit more. And I'm going to tie it on with a knot at the back of my head. All right. So in terms of sashes, I would recommend going with something a little bit on the thinner side. You just want to make sure, because we're going to be braiding, and the thicker your scarves are, the more length it's going to eat up, and you might not be able to reach all the way around if you're working with two really thick scarves. So I have this lovely scarf that I thrifted in these beautiful colors. Got just a little bit of shimmer to it, and it is super lightweight. So I am going to fold it actually pretty narrowly, in part because you could definitely tie this on like completely covering the back, and in fact, if you like more coverage, because the shimmery is a little sheer, you might want to do that. I want to still have the gold showing back here, so I am not going to cover that portion of, I'm not going to cover that portion of the scarf with my sash. So I'm going to put this on, and this one is actually going to go on quite evenly, and I'm going to tuck in, tuck under here in the back where I don't want it covering, and I'm going to tie it underneath my original knot in the back here, just like this. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up my end just like I would do any other time. My short end is going to come up and over like so. And I am going to take all of my scarves here and bring them through. Just like that, and tie into a beginner's luck. And so now I have these three ends, both ends of my sash, and one end whoops, missed one. That's okay, that's okay. We're just gonna redo that knot. All right, now I have all three of my scarves that I'm going to pull into this beginner's luck knot. There we go. And you can also, if your sash is becoming lumpy, just tuck it right in underneath the layer that you just brought over. So now I have two of my sash ends and one of my shimmery ends, and I'm going to braid them. And I'm going to braid them in the direction that I want to go, which is this way. So once again, the tighter you braid, the more length it's going to eat up. And by the time I get over here to the other side of my head, I am basically out of, I am out of sash, which is fine. So I will tuck those in momentarily. But I'm going to first bring this guy over and finish my second beginner's luck knot. And I'm going to leave all those fringes down because the fringes on this scarf are just so very pretty. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to find these ends, which actually kind of tuck themselves in a little bit. But if they don't, just tuck them right under. All right, and that's the final third variation that I'm going to show on this wrap today. So here's what it looks like on this side, from the back, and from the other side. So I hope you enjoyed seeing those three variations. And yeah, see you in my next video. Bye.